In this video, we're going to go over how you can use the storyboard editor to compile, edit, and export storyboards directly from within SceneForge Studio, which is now available within Virtual Studio by View. The storyboard editor has a couple main panels that you should know about. On the left-hand side, we have a list of all the available frames from our project. These are frames taken in shoot mode by pressing the snapshot button. And on the bottom, we have our frame controls and our timeline over here. To add a frame, you can simply click Add Frame, and that'll add a new empty frame. You can select and deselect frames by clicking on them. And when a frame is selected, you can see you have a view of the frame right here, as well as the empty shot properties, the shot name, dialogue line, action line, and description. Over here will appear a top-down floor plan view of the scene when this snapshot was taken. So in order to set the frame, when you have a selected frame, you select on the timeline the frame you want to assign to it. And you can see now we have our floor plan as well as the image and the camera properties over here. Now I'm not going to go ahead and fill this out for this tutorial video, but of course you're going to want to fill it in with whatever information you're looking for. You can delete frames by pressing Delete Frame and add more like so. So now we have a very basic storyboard timeline with 3 frames. And you can see they're automatically numbered shot 1A, 1B, and 1C. Now this is great, but let's say this shot is supposed to have a camera move into this close-up of the actor's face. Well, in that case, shot 1B and 1C may not be appropriate naming conventions for those shots. So to indicate that this is a continued shot, we can click on this little arrow here. And this will now become 1B and 1B-B to indicate that this is a single continuous motion. Of course, you can reorder your frames by clicking and dragging on these little arrows here. Now, of course, every director and every filmmaker has their own preferences on what their naming convention is. So SceneForge actually has an extensive shot naming convention configuration menu. You can control the separator, the prefix, the scene numbering, shot numbering, and as well as the indicator for continued frames. This high level of control is what makes SceneForge so great, and surprisingly doesn't exist in any other storyboarding software as of this time. Now over here you do have a Chromium setup. It's important that SceneForge knows where your Chromium-based browser is in order to export to PDF. By default, it'll search for Microsoft Edge, which is installed on most Windows computers by default. So you should be good to go there, otherwise you'll have to manually select Chrome from your computer. You can also shift a selected frame left and right by pressing these buttons. And once you're happy with your storyboard timeline, you can export the storyboard by clicking Export Storyboard. And here you have a dynamic preview of what the exported PDF or HTML document will look like. You can choose whether or not you want the images to be black and white, whether or not to display the floor plan, focal length, sensor size, and focus distance over here. You'll notice we have this arrow, or this line going down the center. That's what actually indicates whether or not a frame is a full stop cut or a continued frame between 2 individual frames on the storyboard document. For the export format, you have a bunch of different options. You have HTML, which is a simple HTML document. You have PDF, which is a PDF. Both are of the same document format. But we also have a shot list, which is a CSV file that includes all the shot information in a table-like format. So you don't get the images, but you do have it in plain text, which may be useful for some people. And you also have line sheet, which is pretty cool. Because with each snapshot you take in SceneForge, it'll also remember all objects, all scene objects that are visible in that frame. So when you export a line sheet, for each shot on the timeline, it'll give you a list of all the objects visible, as well as a couple other useful columns to fill out if you're trying to hand this off to a set designer, for example. and you can click export. It'll take a second or two, and then it'll save that to a file within your Storyboards folder inside your project folder. If you don't have one, it'll be generated for you. And so that is how you can use the storyboard mode inside SceneForge. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.